Hey everyone, and welcome back. You know how much we love digging into the nitty-gritty of fascinating topics?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, today we're tackling one that's been debated forever.
Yeah.
Is it nature or nurture? Like,
Right.
can anyone become an expert at, well, anything? Or are we just born with certain limits?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
To get to the bottom of this, we're diving deep into Peak: Secrets from the New Science of Expertise by Anders Ericsson.
A classic.
It really is. This book looks at decades of research on people who've reached like the top of their game in all sorts of fields.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing the range of expertise he covers.
Totally. So let's jump right in. What does Erickson say about this whole natural talent thing?
Well, it's funny because we often hear those stories about like child prodigies, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And we think, wow, they must just be naturally gifted. But Erickson really pushes back on that notion.
He does.
He does, yeah. He suggests that while genetics might play a small role, it's really deliberate practice that's the driving force behind expertise.
So not just any practice will do. It's got to be deliberate.
Exactly. It's about pushing your limits in a very specific way,
Like how?
with a laser focus on certain tasks and always aiming to improve, to refine those skills.
Okay, so it's not just mindless repetition.
No, not at all.
Like, can you give me an example?
Think of like a sculptor, chipping away at a block of marble. Each strike is intentional,
I see.
shaping that final masterpiece.
So each step is very purposeful.
Exactly. And there's also this crucial element of feedback, like having a master craftsman there guiding your hand.
So you can identify weaknesses and improve.
Right. So it's about how you use your time, not just how much time you put in.
Makes sense.
Oh.
But I got to ask, what's actually happening in the brain during this process? Does deliberate practice actually change how our brains work?
It totally does. There's this really fascinating study on London cab drivers.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about those guys.
To get their license, they have to memorize something like 25,000 streets
Go away.
and countless landmarks, all within 6 miles of Charing Cross.
I can't even remember where I parked my car this morning.
Right. It's like having a mental GPS of a whole city. But that's not even the craziest part.
What do you mean?
Researchers found that these cabbies actually had larger hippocampi.
Whoa, hold on. They're what?
Their hippocampi, it's the brain region responsible for spatial memory.
Okay, I kind of remember that from bio class.
And guess what? It was larger compared to people who weren't cab drivers.
So their brains actually change because of all that memorization,
Yeah, it's proof that challenging your brain can literally change its structure.
even as adults.
Even as adults. And this adaptability, it's not just limited to, like, navigation and memory.
Really? Give me another example.
Well, studies show that you can even significantly improve your vision with focused training.
What, like, how is that even possible?
There was this study where adults were able to read much smaller text, and some even ditched their glasses.
They ditch their glasses. That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
I know, right? And all this happened after just 3 months of targeted practice.
That's mind-blowing. So what you're saying is our brains aren't fixed. They're constantly changing and adapting.
Exactly. And here's the really cool part.
What's that?
All of this isn't just about obscure scientific studies. It's about you and how you can use this knowledge to learn anything more effectively.
You mean like anyone can apply this to learn a new skill?
Absolutely. Whether it's a new language, playing an instrument, or excelling in your career, these principles apply.
I'm starting to see how this could be really powerful. But let's break it down. What are the key traits of this deliberate practice that sets it apart?
So it's about having very specific goals, stepping outside your comfort zone,
I knew you were going to say that.
and constantly seeking feedback.
Okay, I can see how that would be crucial.
It's that feedback loop that helps you identify where you're falling short and how to improve.
So it's like having a personal trainer, but for your brain, pushing you to get better.
That's a great way to put it. But it's not just about pushing harder, it's about pushing smarter. One way experts do this is by building what we call mental representations.
Mental representations. That sounds a bit abstract. Can you explain that a little more?
Sure. Think of the word dog.
Okay, dog, got it.
At first, it's just a bunch of facts like 4 legs, furry, barks, right?
Yeah.
But with experience, dog becomes this rich, complex concept.
Oh, I see what you're getting at.
You can picture different breeds, you understand their behaviors, their emotions.
It's like the difference between reading the dictionary definition of a dog and actually knowing a dog.
Precisely. And expert performers build these really detailed mental representations of their skills.
Okay, so how does that help them?
It allows them to see patterns, to make decisions really quickly, and even predict what will happen next.
Like, for example?
Think about chess masters. They don't just see individual pieces on a board. They see meaningful patterns and potential moves. It's like they're seeing the whole board in their mind.
That's incredible. So, if deliberate practice is so crucial, does that mean the idea of natural talent is, like, completely out the window? Did Erickson debunk that whole concept?
Well, he doesn't completely deny that genetics play a role. There are some predispositions we might have.
Okay.
But he argues that the influence of genetics is often way overblown.
So it's not as simple as saying, oh, I'm just not a math person.
Exactly. And in fact, he thinks believing too strongly in natural talent can actually be harmful.
Harmful? How so?
Well, think about it. If you believe you're just not good at something because of your genes, you're less likely to put in the effort to improve.
Makes sense.
It creates this self-limiting belief that holds you back.
So you're saying believing in natural talent can become a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Precisely. And on the flip side, those who are labeled talented might get more encouragement and opportunities, which helps them develop further.
It's like a cycle where perception, rather than actual ability, ends up driving the outcome.
Exactly. And that's why it's so crucial to focus on the process of development, not some fixed idea of talent.
That's a powerful insight. This whole concept of deliberate practice is really making me rethink how we view talent and potential. It feels like we're just scratching the surface here.
Yeah, we've just begun. In the next part of our deep dive, we're going to explore some specific techniques that experts use to maximize the effectiveness of their practice.
Oh, I can't wait. This is getting really interesting.
And we'll also look at how they stay motivated on that long and sometimes challenging road to mastery.
I'm already hooked. Listeners, stick with us. We'll be right back to unpack even more about the science of expertise. Welcome back, everyone. Last time we were talking about how deliberate practice really trumps talent when it comes to reaching that expert level.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what focused effort can achieve.
Totally. But now I'm curious about the specifics. Like, what kind of techniques do experts actually use to, like, supercharge their learning?
One really powerful technique that Erickson talks about is what he calls purposeful practice.
Okay, purposeful practice. What's that all about?
It's not just about putting in the hours. It's about being really intentional with your practice.
Intentional? How so?
Well, you need to have a clear goal in mind for each session, like what specific skill are you trying to improve?
Got it.
And then you're constantly monitoring your progress, making adjustments as you go.
So you're always evaluating, tweaking things as needed.
Exactly. And another key part is actively seeking feedback, even if it's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, feedback can be tough sometimes.
It can be, but it's so essential for growth,
It helps you see those blind spots.
Right. Erickson actually describes this fascinating case study of a student named Steve.
Steve.
Yeah, Steve, who trained his memory to remember these incredibly long strings of digits, like, those memory championships you see.
Oh, yeah, those are wild.
Yeah, so at first he could only remember a few digits, like most of us.
Right, like my phone number, that's about my limit.
Haha,
Yeah.
But with purposeful practice, he was able to push past those limitations.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How did he do that?
One of his techniques involved transforming those digits into meaningful groups.
Meaningful groups, like how?
So, for example, he'd take a group of 3 digits and turn it into a running time.
Oh, interesting.
Like 349 would become 3 minutes and 49 seconds.
Ah, so he's creating these mental shortcuts, turning abstract numbers into something more concrete.
That's exactly it.
It's kind of like mnemonics, right? Those memory tricks we all learned in school.
Exactly. And by using these techniques, he was able to remember these insanely long strings of digits way beyond what most people think is possible.
That's incredible. It shows that even memory, which we often think of as fixed, can be trained and expanded.
Exactly.
Okay, but memory techniques aside, are there other elements of purposeful practice that apply to, other skills as well?
Absolutely. Another really important element is identifying your weaknesses.
Okay, that makes sense, but how do you actually do that?
Well, it's like a golfer analyzing their swing, figuring out which part needs work.
Ah, I see. So you're being honest with yourself about where you're falling short.
Exactly. And one of the best ways to identify those weaknesses is to get feedback from others.
Okay, that makes sense, but let's be real. Feedback can be hard to take sometimes, especially when it's critical.
It's true. It can be tough. But experts, they view feedback as a gift.
A gift, even when it stings a little.
Even then, yeah. They understand that feedback, even if it's not always positive, is essential for growth.
It's about separating your ego from the feedback.
Exactly. You've got to focus on the insights it provides, not take it personally.
So it's about having that growth mindset, embracing those challenges.
You got it. And remember, feedback doesn't always have to come from a formal teacher or coach.
Oh, that's a good point.
It can come from peers, mentors, even online communities.
So many options. This is all super valuable. It's like we're getting a peek inside the mental training of an expert.
It is, yeah.
But, there's one thing I've always wondered about. Plateaus. You know those times when you feel stuck, like you're not making any progress?
Oh, yeah. Plateaus, those are a common challenge for sure.
What do experts do when they hit those plateaus? How do they break through?
Well, plateaus are actually a normal part of the learning process.
Really?
They can be frustrating, but they often signal that you need to switch things up a bit.
Switch things up, like how?
One technique is to break down the skill you're working on into smaller chunks.
Smaller chunks, like baby steps.
Exactly. And then you focus on mastering those individual elements before putting it all back together.
So it's like taking a step back to solidify the foundation.
Exactly. And sometimes breaking through a plateau might mean pushing yourself outside your comfort zone in a new way.
A new way? What do you mean?
Well, it could be trying a different training technique, seeking feedback from a new source,
Oh,
or even, trying something completely different that scares you a little.
something that scares you. Do you have an example of that?
Actually, remember Steve, the memory expert we talked about earlier?
Yeah, Steve, the digit master.
Well, he hit a plateau where he felt like he'd reached his limit for memorizing those digit strings.
Like his brain was full.
Haha, yeah, something like that. But then he and his researchers, they decided to try something different.
What do they do?
They started giving him strings of digits that were way longer than anything he'd ever attempted before.
So they pushed him even further when he was already feeling stuck.
Exactly. And surprisingly, he was actually able to remember most of those digits.
Wow, really?
It turned out that his previous limit wasn't an actual limit, it was just a plateau caused by his approach.
So by pushing him beyond what he thought he could do, they actually helped him unlock a new level of potential.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing. And kind of counterintuitive, You'd think pushing harder when you're already stuck would just make things worse.
It can feel that way, but sometimes that's exactly what you need to do to break through.
That's a good reminder. But, we've been talking a lot about deliberate practice, pushing boundaries, embracing challenges.
Yeah.
It's all very inspiring, but I have to admit, it can also feel a bit overwhelming,
Yeah, I get it. It's a lot to take in.
So how do you make all of this sustainable? How do you actually incorporate these techniques into your life without burning out?
That's such a great question because sustainability is key, right?
It is.
You can't just go full speed ahead without, pacing yourself.
Right, you'll burn out.
Exactly. One of the most important things is to find ways to make the process enjoyable.
Enjoyable, but isn't deliberate practice supposed to be, deliberate?
It is, but that doesn't mean it has to be a grind, It's
understand.
about tapping into that intrinsic motivation, that joy of learning.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When you're passionate about something, the effort feels less like work.
For sure. But I'm curious, are there any other strategies for making this whole deliberate practice thing more, manageable?
Absolutely. Deliberate practice doesn't have to be a solo mission.
It doesn't.
Nope. Connecting with a community, like other people who are working on similar skills,
Oh, that's a good idea.
it can provide support, encouragement, accountability.
Like having a team of cheerleaders to keep you going.
Exactly. And remember, it's all about progress, not perfection.
That's such an important reminder.
Celebrate those small wins, adjust your approach as needed. It's a journey, not a race.
Well said. Listening to all this, it's really shifting my perspective on talent and expertise. But before we move on, I want to circle back to that idea of natural talent.
Yeah.
We talked about how deliberate practice is super important. But is there any truth to the idea that, some people are just born with a natural advantage?
That's a really interesting question and one that Erickson actually delves into in his book.
What does he say?
He acknowledges that genetic factors can influence our predispositions, like maybe we're naturally inclined towards certain skills.
Okay.
But he argues that the role of genetics is often way overstated.
So it's not as black and white as, I'm not good at math because of my genes.
Exactly. And one of the dangers of believing too strongly in natural talent is that it can become, a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
If you believe you're just not naturally gifted in something, you might not even try to improve.
You're limiting yourself before you even begin.
Right. And on the other hand, Those who are labeled as talented might get more encouragement and support, which then leads to more progress.
It's like that cycle we talked about earlier, perception influencing opportunity, which then shapes outcomes.
Precisely. And that's why it's so important to create environments where everyone feels empowered to learn and grow, regardless of their perceived natural abilities.
That's a really powerful point. It makes you wonder how much untapped potential is out there,
Yeah.
hidden by these limiting beliefs about natural talent.
Absolutely. There's this fascinating study Erickson talks about on youth hockey players in Canada.
Hockey players, okay.
So because of the age cutoff for joining a league, kids born in the first few months of the year actually have a slight age advantage.
Oh, because they're a bit older.
Exactly. They're a bit older and more physically developed than those born later in the year.
And does that actually make a difference?
You'd be surprised. This small age advantage often leads to more success in those early years.
Oh, wow.
The coaches perceive these older players as more talented, so they get more attention, better coaching, more opportunities to play.
It's like a snowball effect.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder how much of what we attribute to talent is actually the result of these early opportunities and positive feedback loops.
That's a fascinating insight. It highlights how important those early experiences are in shaping talent.
Exactly. It's not just about innate ability, it's about the opportunities and encouragement we receive.
It's about nurturing potential, not just assuming it's predetermined.
Exactly.
This has been so insightful. It's really making me rethink the whole idea of talent and expertise.
I'm glad to hear that.
I feel like we've only just scratched the surface here, though. What else is there to uncover?
Well, we've covered a lot of ground, but there's still more to explore.
Okay, like what?
In the next part, we're going to dive into this fascinating world of mental representations.
Mental representations. Remind me again what those are.
They're those intricate mental models that experts develop.
Oh, right, like those mental maps we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. We're going to uncover how they're formed and how you can actually use these principles to accelerate your own learning.
Oh, I can't wait to hear more about that. Sounds like we're about to unlock even more secrets to achieving mastery.
We are.
Listeners, we'll be right back with the final chapter of our deep dive into the science of expertise. Don't miss it. All right, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into expertise. We've talked about deliberate practice and some powerful techniques,
Yeah.
but now I'm really excited to unravel one of the most intriguing aspects, those mental representations.
Absolutely. Those mental representations, they're like these detailed maps guiding experts through the complexity of their skills.
Okay, we've touched on them before, but I'm still a bit fuzzy on the details.
Sure.
Can you give me like a clearer picture of what they look like and why they're so crucial for reaching mastery?
Imagine like a seasoned sailor, right? Out on the open ocean.
Yeah.
They're not just reacting to the waves and the wind.
Right.
They have this deep understanding of currents, weather patterns, celestial navigation.
It's like they've internalized all this knowledge.
Exactly. Their mental representation of the sea lets them anticipate changes, make strategic decisions.
So they're not just reacting, they're thinking ahead.
Exactly. It's like they're operating on a level that seems almost instinctive, you know?
Yeah, it's like, how do they do that?
But it's not magic. It's years of practice, deep engagement with their craft.
Makes sense.
They've built up this incredible mental model.
Okay, that's a great example with sailing. But how do these mental maps apply to, like, more cognitive skills?
Yeah.
You know, like chess or surgery.
They're crucial for all types of expertise, really. A chess master, for example, doesn't just see pieces on a board.
Right.
They see relationships, potential threats, strategic possibilities.
It's like they're seeing several moves ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Their mental representation helps them grasp the complexity, make those lightning-fast decisions.
Wow. And what about a surgeon?
Same thing. They're not just memorizing steps from a textbook, they're visualizing the entire procedure.
Oh, wow.
Anticipating potential complications, coming up with backup plans.
And it's all based on this, like, mental model they've developed.
Precisely. It's their understanding of anatomy, surgical techniques.
It's like they've got this internal roadmap.
Exactly.
But these mental maps, they aren't static, are they? They must change as experts gain more experience.
You're absolutely right. They're constantly evolving, being refined based on new challenges, feedback, insights.
It's like a living, breathing map.
Exactly. It's not just about accumulating knowledge, it's about integrating it into this flexible mental model.
So how can those of us who aren't, surgeons or chess masters develop these mental representations? Are there strategies we can use?
Absolutely. One of the most effective is careful observation.
Observation, okay.
It's about studying the work of experts, really paying attention to the nuances.
Like watching how they do what they do.
Exactly. Try to understand the underlying principles that guide their actions.
Okay, so it's not just passive watching, it's active analysis.
Right, like a musician listening to their favorite artist, trying to deconstruct those techniques.
Yeah, trying to figure out what makes them so good.
Exactly. But it's also about engaging with the material yourself, experimenting.
So getting your hands dirty, so to speak.
Precisely. And seeking feedback to guide your learning.
Makes sense.
Another powerful strategy is reflection,
Reflection.
taking the time to analyze your own performance.
Oh, okay, like a debriefing session with yourself.
Exactly. Ask yourself, what went well? What could I have done differently?
I like that. So you're basically turning your experiences into learning opportunities.
Precisely. It helps you refine those mental representations.
Okay, so we're building these mental maps, we're constantly refining them, but how do they actually translate into, like, better performance? What's that connection?
Think of it as this feedback loop. As your mental representations get more sophisticated,
Yeah.
you become more attuned to those subtle cues and patterns that matter.
Ah, I
You
see.
can anticipate problems, make adjustments more quickly, perform with more precision.
So it's like having this internal guidance system.
That's a great way to put it. And the more you practice, the more ingrained these mental representations become.
Until it's almost like second nature.
Exactly.
This is all so fascinating. It really does feel like we're demystifying this whole idea of
It's
expertise.
not magic, it's a process.
A process we can all understand and apply to our own lives.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into expertise, what's the one key takeaway you want listeners to walk away with?
I think the most important message is that we all have incredible potential.
I do.
Yes. It's not about being born with some special gift. It's about embracing the journey of deliberate practice.
Putting in the work
Finding those great mentors.
and building those mental maps.
Exactly. The power to shape our potential, it's within each of us.
I love that.
It's about setting ambitious goals, believing in our ability to achieve them.
And then taking action.
Exactly.
This has been such an inspiring conversation. I feel like I'm walking away with a whole new perspective on what's possible.
That's great to hear.
Thank you so much for guiding us through this deep dive. It's been truly enlightening.
It's been my pleasure. And to all our listeners out there, keep those brains firing, keep pushing those boundaries, and never stop reaching for those peaks of excellence.
That's a wrap on this episode of The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time, ready to explore another fascinating topic together.